Put it into practice. The title of this message actually came from Philippians chapter 4, verse 9, and it is Paul speaking to the Philippians. It says, "Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." How many times do we put into practice what we have learned, received, heard, or seen? Yesterday morning, I was having anxious thoughts, and I didn't like having those thoughts. I did not want to continue thinking those thoughts, and I knew that God said something about not being anxious. So I made a point yesterday morning to focus on finding the scriptures that would speak to the anxiety and the anxious thoughts that I was thinking so that I would not think them anymore. There's one particular scripture that actually stuck out in my head. That particular scripture I wrote down in my phone. I wrote it down in my phone as an appointment. So I recorded it, not recorded it, but I wrote it down in there. So I typed it in my phone as an actual appointment. And I set it to where every day it's going to go off at a certain time of the day to remind me to not think anxious thoughts. The purpose of me doing this is because it helps me to practice what I already know to do. It helps me to learn the scriptures. It helps me to memorize the scripture. It helps me to be prepared whenever those anxious thoughts may come again. It's a situation where I know that my mind is very precious to God, and it's also a threat to the devil, and that's the way he likes to try to attack. So in order for me to be ready for his attack and to combat his attack, that is how I actually memorize and learn the scriptures, as I put them in my phone, and I make that go off every day until I have memorized that scripture. And I can say it word for word, what the scripture is and what the scripture says. So that's one of the things that's helped me out. My encouraging scripture is actually going to be in James chapter 1, verse 22. "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says."